So from one TVT legend to another. Now WTVT's weather department has always been vital to the local population along with tourists and industry. This is crazy, and I didn't realize this till Mike gave me the script. There have only been, in 67 years of WTVT, 3 chief meteorologists. Isn't that crazy to think about? Only 3. Yeah, that's a big deal. Applaud, sure. Charles Stump was the first, followed by Roy Leep. Yes. Biggest regret of my career. I started in January of 98. Roy retired in December of 97. I grew up in Tampa, grew up watching Roy Leep. I never met him. Never met Roy Leep. So Roy Leep hung around for, 40 years at WTVT. And then Paul Delgado, of course, who was serving WTVT viewers now for 32 years. So, to talk about Roy, please welcome one of Roy's boys, the one and only, he hasn't aged a second, Andy Johnson.
Thank you, Charlie. I don't really know if any other television station has something like what we're sharing today. I think it's very unique, and it's very, very unusual. I'm very thankful and proud to be part of this. And I firmly believe that all of us in this room have a shared destiny for a reason. I think that we were all supposed to know each other and learn from each other and help each other on our life's journeys. I can't believe it's been 9 years since I took early retirement from Channel 13, and it's so good to see all of your faces. No one had more impact on weathercasting than Roy Leep. In 1959, Roy installed the first radar in Florida owned by a television station. He introduced satellite pictures in the mid-60s, color radar in the 70s, and the iconic Sky Tower Doppler radar in 1989 to WTVT viewers. His lifelong vision was achieved when he designed a custom state-of-the-art weather center for the new building. Named the Roy Leep Weather Center when he retired, it is a tribute to his weather vision, a name he proudly coined. Roy was diligent about serious weather reporting, which is vital to Central Florida's tourist industry and to the agricultural business. Roy started with one other weatherman in his department, Jerry Peterson, which grew to include 9 full-time meteorologists working all day parts. Here today is a fellow that worked in weather during the early to late 70s, Eric Meindl. Eric, please stand up and take a bow. Thank you. I watched Eric when I was growing up here, and he guided me through evacuation from Hurricane Agnes back in '72, so I will never forget that. Okay. Let's not forget that even the serious Mr. Leep softened in the 90s by introducing his Cairn Terrier, Scud, to the broadcast, creating WTVT's newest star and raising tons of money for charity. My own story with Roy started when I was just 7 years old and had my own home weather station. A neighbor of ours was one of Roy's weathermen, Nelson Medina, you can see him here, who had a daughter my age and lived in the neighborhood. I had a question about humidity, and Nelson invited me to the station to view film of a waterspout that he had shot and also to tour the weather office. I met Roy briefly during the tour. Roy was busy and we didn't talk much, but he gave me what's called a student packet filled with goodies for weather nerds like me, like satellite pictures, weather maps, and AMS bulletins. I cherish that student packet and still have it. I was so impressed with the weather department that the next day I announced to my second grade class that I was going to be a meteorologist and work at Channel 13 when I grew up. Nelson left the station, but I continued annual tours from then on, and Roy was nice enough to show me and sometimes my classmates around. Roy maintained student packets even when I worked at the station for visiting young scientists. Every year, Roy would distribute a magazine called Hurricanes talking about the seasonal storms that impact our lives here in Florida. I collected every one of them and read them over and over, and I have the original. Roy gave those to me after he left. As I got older, Roy told me what courses I should take in high school to prepare for a career in television weather. 4 years of pure science, and then I went to FSU. I followed his advice. He also advised me to take courses in this newfangled area called computer science. You can see the old computer terminals there. It was that knowledge of computer science and programming that gave me a leg up in the hiring process, because Roy was developing WeatherVision, the first totally computerized TV weather station system in the country. Now fast forward to 1979, I graduated from FSU, and on my annual tour, Roy asked if I knew anyone that had a degree in meteorology, but a specialty in computer science, and was kind of a self-starter. I jumped at the opportunity and stepped forward to volunteer myself. I had entered the world of my dreams at the television station of my dreams, WTVT. I was hired in 1979 and had a front row seat to Roy's professionalism and influence for the next 17 years. As time went on, Roy taught me the TV business. I knew the science well enough, but Roy was a great businessman as well as the practitioner of science. Roy Leep passed away last year at the age of 89. And while his imprint may be part of WTVT history, his innovations and style continue to serve us today. Please join me in toasting the life and legacy of Roy Leep. We have a very special guest joining us today, Mrs. Jane Leep. A microphone is on its way to you, Jane, and please accept our condolences on the loss of Roy.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. And thank you, Mike Clark, for inviting me. This is so special. I didn't want to cry. But Roy and I got a late start, but we had 25 beautiful years. I have to tell you a little story about Roy. I was 15 years old when I met Roy Leep. Roy was 17 years old. I got to tell you, our first date was to the weather station at the Louisville, Kentucky airport. It was not my idea of the ideal first date, but he was so excited about all the weather equipment, he just had to show it to me and explain everything. I like to think that I was Roy's first love, but I soon realized I was number 2. Roy's first love was the weather, and that's okay. He was a wonderful husband and father to our 6 daughters. He had 3, I had 3. And my last story, Mike Clark wanted me to mention, when we were planning Roy's visitation and burial, the gentleman that I was working with at the funeral home said, "You know, Jane, we were all talking, and we think it's fitting or significant that Roy died at the beginning of hurricane season." So what could be more appropriate? Thank you, Mike, for inviting me. Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Turn it back over to Charlie.